truths and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on Earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause. Welcome to The Probable Cause. This is a podcast covering the criminal justice system in Allen County, Indiana, northeastern Indiana, and the state of Indiana when it's appropriate. I'm your host, Jamie Duffy, a locally based journalist. To my left is our co-host, Michael McAlexander. He is the Allen County Prosecutor. Sadly, my right hand is not with us. She transitioned to another life and is with her son, Cody, who was murdered in December 2016. There will be a celebration of life, and if you have any photos you want to share with us, our cameraman producer, Brock Eastom, is putting together a slideshow. We would welcome your photos and videos. Now, as you can see, we have a special guest sitting with Mike and myself today. He is Judge Andrew Williams with the Civil Division of Allen Superior Court and serves as the county's mental health judge. Mental health is a much misunderstood topic, and we are so glad to have him on The Probable Cause to see how we can explain some things in an hour. First, as always, the courts. Mike, what have we got this week?
We got a couple of trials going, one murder case that is going.
Right. It has caused some controversy, we realize. It's been very interesting covering that trial, and I wish that you all would go to www.theprobablecause.com to read the articles, see the photos that I've posted from the courtroom. We also have a Facebook page, The Probable Cause. You'll learn everything you want to know about that trial. Let's get back to Judge Williams. You graduated from Ball State in 1995. What did you major in?
Majored in economics.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
I had no intention of becoming an economist. My goal was always to go to law school, but I wanted a major in the School of Business, and economics interested me.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because a lot of lawyers go the history and poli-sci route. So people out there who want to be, I mean, you can major in anything and apply to law school.
It's two economics majors in a row. Quentin was an economics major undergrad.
Quentin Ellis.
Ellis was.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Where did he go for undergrad?
IU.
Mm-hmm. Probably the Kelley School of Business. Looks like after you graduated from Ball State in 1995, you worked as a juvenile probation officer in Grant County for 3 years. I was talking before we went on about how Grant County is sort of fairly populous and seems to have its share of problems. Seems as though there's always a news report of some desperado or somebody else running afoul of the law. So, Judge Williams, you must have been busy as the juvenile probation officer.
Yes, I would say I was busy, but I think that at that time, things in Marion were a little bit different than they are right now. The loss of some of the major manufacturing businesses really hurt Marion. And when I was a juvenile probation officer, that was kind of the point where businesses were starting to close and manufacturing was really starting to leave Marion. So I think that's had a profound effect on Grant County, unfortunately, in a negative way.
Yes, the stress on families must have been horrible, and plays out with the adults and the juveniles, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And in addition to the criminal behavior, I saw a lot of mental illness too when I was a probation officer. I think that may have been the start of my interest in mental health treatment.
Well, we're glad it did. So then you went to Baylor University to get your law degree, and I'm just wondering why you chose Texas.
I chose Texas mostly because of the weather. And
really?
Well, and the fact that Baylor offered a scholarship, and
nice.
My at that time she would have been my fiance and later became my wife. And I went down there and visited, and we loved it. We loved Baylor, and we loved the people down there. So
That's in Dallas, right?
it's in Waco.
Oh, in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
Not too far away. I mean, it's like,
About an hour and a half away.
yeah, Waco. Yeah, that's interesting. And you were senior editor of the Baylor University Law Review, excuse me, and moot court barrister. Barrister is a word we don't usually hear except for when we're in England, so that's a good word.
Yes. I mean, what that means is, and I don't know if all law schools have this program, I imagine they do,
Yeah.
where it's moot court is a way for law school students to kind of learn how to present themselves before an appellate court. And at Baylor, there's a tournament, and if you get far enough in the tournament, then you become a barrister. And so I got far enough in the tournament to become a barrister. I didn't win the tournament, but I became a barrister, a judge later on for future moot courts.
Well, I'm sure it was competitive. I mean, everybody's heard of Baylor. So you came back to Indiana in 2002. I guess you really liked Texas, you liked the weather, but couldn't stay away from Indiana.
I could not stay away from Indiana. And I couldn't stay away from the job offer. So
So yes, you started to practice law at Hunt, Sudoff, Calameros, which is a prestigious law firm here in town, and you became a partner in 2010. Your caseload included insurance defense, litigation, state and federal civil rights, product liability, construction law, medical malpractice, personal injury, municipal law, administrative law, probate, family law, and appellate law. I would say you got a lot of experience in. Was there anyone that like stood out and was your favorite?
I liked the medical malpractice cases, mostly because it was an opportunity to kind of learn the science and medicine involved in a lot of different areas, which I found to be interesting. I've never really been big on science, but when you're in medical malpractice cases, the doctors are your experts, and you can ask them anything that you want. And,
That is cool.
yeah, and part of it too is you want them to be able to explain what happened as if they were explaining it to the average person, you know, so they can dumb it down for me, and I can understand what it is that they're doing.
And that's when you need a good attorney, right?
I would say that having an attorney in a medical malpractice case is a good idea.
Yes, I would say so too. You also briefed and argued appeals before the Indiana Supreme Court, the Indiana Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit. Was that mainly one kind of law, or, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, what kind of cases were you arguing?
It was a wide variety of cases. For a period of several years there, I did all the appellate cases for Hunt Sudoff. I actually had an opportunity to argue a case in front of Judge Richard Posner, who is, for law nerds, I think he's
Yeah.
well known. I don't know whether they thought they were doing me a favor or not when they scheduled, but I had two cases that were pending before the Seventh Circuit at the same time, and they scheduled them back to back. I had Judge Posner for both cases on my panel.
You got to know him pretty well.
Well, yeah, I think so. In the first case, he seemed to really like my argument, my position, so that went well. The second one did not go well.
Ooh.
So, I left there very conflicted. I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to be happy or sad because they were completely different cases in the way that Judge Posner approached me.
Oh, yeah. So what did you do afterwards? You were thinking, okay, this one might be good. This one might not be good. Did you immediately, it was just like, go home and...
Oh yeah. I think right after that, I was calling other attorneys and kind of sharing my experience and having them commiserate with me. But and the decisions that I got were exactly what I expected after oral argument. So
It would be kind of like I mean, most people are more familiar with a regular jury, and you make your pitch to them, and you're trying to determine whether they're agreeing with you if you see some head nodding or smiles or that kind of stuff. In appellate advocacy, the judges get to ask you questions and interrupt your train of thought and your prepared presentation. And sometimes it's real easy to understand where they're coming from.
You got to be really confident.
In my experience with the Seventh Circuit, you can always tell. It really feels like they know which direction they're going in before oral argument begins.
Well, that's really neat too. It would be fun to go to one of those. So anyway, because of all your experiences, you were nominated and named as a super lawyer here in Indiana, Rising Star in 2012, 2013, super lawyer in 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And then you joined the Allen Superior Court in 2020. So congratulations. I think that was the Indiana Business Journal, or
I think that's right. I
Yeah.
think they're the ones that put out the super lawyer list.
Oh, Mike might know too. You were president of the Allen County Bar Association in 2018 and 2019, and I told him before we went on, this is now my opportunity to lobby once again for a law school here in Allen County to service northeastern Indiana, give opportunities to the people who live here. You were the president of the Allen County Bar Association, so what do you think?
We're told quite frequently these days that there's a shortage of attorneys in
Yes.
Indiana. So I think there's a need for a law school. And what we see with the 3 law schools that we do have is that folks that graduated from the University of Notre Dame rarely stay in Indiana.
Right. 18%.
The ones that go to IU Mauer also rarely stay here in Indiana. And if they do, it's usually in Indianapolis. So IU McKinney is about the only law school where we see graduates who really are practicing all over the state and are willing to go to some of the smaller communities and practice.
Right, and they're based in Indianapolis, which is an urban center. And let's face it, Fort Wayne's an urban center too at this point. And we could we really could use, I think there's a need and a desire out there. So whatever you can do to help the cause, Judge Williams, we'd really appreciate it here at the Probable Cause. Right, Mike?
Well, it certainly hurt us. I mean, I think we said before when Valparaiso closed their law school.
Right.
That had a big impact, I think, on Fort Wayne because we had a lot of people go there. Now we're seeing a lot more spread out to what used to be, I think, Thomas Cooley, Michigan State, Northern Ohio Northern. We're seeing people, Dayton. But when they're based in Ohio, you don't have that same connection unless they're from here in the first place.
Yeah, I just really think I did write somebody on LinkedIn who's with the Indiana School of Law, and surprisingly, he just didn't get back to me. So, also, you are a current member, at least according to your resume that I found online, of the Master of the Benjamin Harrison Inns of Court. Could you just sort of explain what that is? That also sounds very British.
Yes, the Inns of Court is an organization whose mission is really to increase collegiality among members of the bar and to provide mentorship for young lawyers. And the way that that's done is through monthly meetings where we have a social hour, we eat usually some simple meal like pizza or something together and talk and socialize. And then we have a legal education program that's put on by other members of the inn.
So where do you meet? Here in
We meet at the Bar Association.
Here in Allen County?
Here in Allen County, yes.
Oh, okay. So does every county have one of these? Or?
Not every county. I think it's mostly just the larger counties. And in the larger counties, we try to attract attorneys from the smaller surrounding counties.
Because you're going to see them in court anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's a community. There's no doubt about it. So I wanted to move on and say you are active in the community other than the criminal justice system. You were the chair of the Parkview YMCA Board of Directors, and now I believe you stepped down from that, but you're still on the board. And I have seen you over there. That's my why too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great why.
It is a great why. I do want them to clear the mirrors in the exercise room so I can see what my feet are doing during the classes, but that's just neither here nor there. Also, what's even more interesting, I think, is that you are on the board of Inasmuch Ministry, which is on Broadway. And I think that your family has kind of a link to that, if you want to go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. My middle son started volunteering there through our church, and he was coming home and telling me about the work that Inasmuch does for the homeless and for those that, while they may not, they may have some place that they can stay, or couch surfing, and just don't have a place where they know they can be at night. And anyway, Inasmuch helps homeless individuals by giving them bus passes. They have a screening process, and they build relationships through that screening process. But they're able to help them sometimes with different expenses that they have, help them get services that are available to them. Just really do a great work in our community. And I think that there is a partnership with the city to provide day shelter.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And they're in the process of trying to actually build a day shelter. I think that that's going to be happening here in the not too distant future. But Inasmuch has an incredible reputation with folks that are out living on the streets. They feel safe there. They feel comfortable, but they also know that they're not going to get away with anything either.
They need structure, these people.
Yeah, they provide, there's a lot of structure that goes along with it. So that's how I got interested in it, and that's how I ended up on the board, really was through the volunteer work of my son. And now my oldest son is volunteering down there when he can too.
But which is the one that gave the name to one of the programs?
Yes, that would be my middle son. He did a high school internship there through Carroll High School, and the director, Mary Ann Ming, had him working on several projects. And one of the things that they wanted to do was create a nonprofit that was separate from the church. And he came up with the name for it, which is Forgotten Stones, which comes from a Bible verse. It's actually a prophecy related to Jesus as being the cornerstone. And
I like that. I love the Bible. Really, it's literature.
So
go ahead.
So that's where it came from. He came up with that, and I think he's pretty excited about the fact that the nonprofit that spun off from Inasmuch is named, or he gave the name for.
Forgotten Stones. We'll have to look that one up. You volunteer there. They volunteer there. Your sons. So it's really nice. You're also on the board, I believe, or very active with Remedy Live.
I am on the board for Remedy Live.
And that was rolled out. They've been around here for a long time. That's something that Fort Wayne should be very, very proud of, Remedy Live. And they rolled out 988, I believe. And I don't know where that sits right now because I think state funding kind of fell short. But you call 988 and you can that's the suicide hotline all over the nation. So,
yes.
You're on that board. And you're also on the Indiana Supreme Court Behavioral Health Committee. Which is the
it was a committee that was created by the Chief Justice of the Indiana Supreme Court, Loretta Rush. I think it was about 3 years ago, and it's in response to the need to really coordinate how courts are responding to behavioral health. And we have put together an action plan. It's really a detailed plan, which I don't think has been released yet, but will be released here soon.
Please let us know.
Absolutely.
And, I didn't mean to cut you short on that.
Oh, no, that's okay.
I'm glad that the Indiana Supreme Court is involved in mental health too, because no matter how much we talk about it, Indiana really has not made the strides that it needs to take care of these people. And if you talk to the sheriff, police chief, we all know that So many of these people with mental health do wind up in the jails, and the prosecutors have to prosecute, and it's, and they don't really get the treatment that they seem to need. You are also on the county's juvenile mental health task force. If you want to talk about that, people can learn about that.
Well, shortly after I became a judge, it became apparent to me that agencies of government and mental health care providers really weren't talking to each other and really weren't coordinating efforts. So I started a mental health task force, which we're now calling the Adult Mental Health Task Force, to bring people together to talk about different issues. The prosecutor's office participates in that and has for many years, along with Sheriff's Department, Parkview Behavioral Health, Bowen Health, Maple Heights, lots of different groups. And I think it has helped tremendously just in increasing the communication, breaking down some barriers that may have been created because of the perception that there's competition. And I don't think that is the case anymore. So that also is where the idea for the Mental Health Summit came from, which I can talk about here in just a minute. But
Absolutely.
After our first Mental Health Summit, there was a youth mental health task force created by Laura Murphy at Parkview Behavioral Health. And I participate in that as well. While I don't, as a judge, get involved with the youth, I do recognize the fact that kids grow up, they become adults. So kids with mental illness oftentimes become adults with mental illness. So
and sometimes it's because of the way they're brought up and the circumstances, not just poverty, but the mental health perhaps of a parent or a grandparent that affects how they, and then they wind up with Mike in the prosecutor's office and in the jails.
Or in the civil process, which doesn't get the same level of attention, but a lot of people, when we talk about mental health issues and filling up the jail with people with mental health problems, frequently we'll get questions, well, why don't you do a civil commitment on them instead of a criminal enforcement? And I know that's part of your day-to-day job, is to handle those civil commitments. If you could maybe just describe that process for folks.
We're going to get to that. What I want to first say is the treatment gap, and then we're going to because it all ties in together.
There's just so many things I want to talk about here as you guys are going back and forth.
Oh my gosh. So the treatment gap in Indiana, okay, this comes from the Fairbanks School of Public Health at IU. 69% of adults with mild mental illness and 60% with moderate mental illness in Indiana did not receive treatment, and that's from an 1819 survey. Now, we know these surveys lag. That's the latest one I could find. So now let's segue into, what we were going to segue into, which is...
There's so many things we could segue into. Can you...
Yes, I mean, so how does your court work?
How does it work?
Yeah.
Well, the way there really are a couple of different ways that people can become involved in the involuntary mental health system. The first one is if a loved one, a friend notices that there's just something not right with that person, they're struggling, they can take them to the ER. Most of the mental health referrals come from the emergency room. Mm-hmm. If they're unable to get their loved one there to go with them, or if the crisis is so severe, they can seek help from law enforcement. And if the criteria is met, if the police officer believes that there's probable cause that a person's mentally ill, and as a result of the mental illness, either gravely disabled or dangerous, then the police can transport them for an evaluation at one of the local hospitals. Then once they present at the hospital, the hospital staff does a psychiatric evaluation and makes a determination as to whether to hold them. I had talked to you about this before we talked today, but there was a change in the law with regard to emergency detentions that took effect July the 1st of 2023, which changed things pretty substantially, and it gave a lot of authority to emergency room physicians that they didn't have before. And what that is if they believe that the criteria has been met, and it's the same criteria throughout the process, person has to be mentally ill, and as a result of the mental illness, either gravely disabled or dangerous, either to themselves or to others, then they can be held up to 48 hours. During that 48-hour period, they're evaluated, they're offered treatment, and if they voluntarily agree to the treatment, and they're at a point where they can become stable within that 48-hour period, they're generally released, and with follow-up appointment.
But is it up to them to do the follow-up appointment? Is that what
it generally is? Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, at that point it is.
Yeah.
And that brings up something that we frequently see with mental illness. When folks are in the middle of a mental health crisis, and they get treatment and they get medication, they start to feel better. When they start to feel better, they start to question why they're taking this medication. Nobody wants to take medication. I don't care what it's for. People don't want to take medication.
Because the medication makes them feel different.
It makes them feel
Possibly.
different. True.
Yeah.
True. But even for medical conditions, I don't think we like taking medication. I don't think anybody really wants to take pills. So there's this strong desire then, regardless of who you are, your situation, not to take medication. Well, you add to that you have somebody who was in the middle of a mental health crisis, probably didn't recognize how severe it was, because they just weren't capable of appreciating it at that point in time. They get medication, they get released, things seem to be back to normal, and they don't want to take the medication anymore, so they stop taking it. They then decompensate. They find themselves back in the emergency department, back in the middle of a mental health crisis, and go through the process again. So when that occurs, or if it's a situation where an individual, it's very clear that the individual is not going to become stable within 48 hours, then the hospital can contact me and ask for an emergency detention order. In that situation, I again look at the same criteria. Is the person suffering from a mental illness? And as a result of the mental illness, is that individual either gravely disabled or dangerous to self or others? And if so, then I'll issue the emergency detention order. And based on that order, the patient can be held involuntarily up to 14 days.
Right, that's what I have in my notes.
And something that's important to know in all of this too is that under the statute, when you're doing these calculations, intervening holidays, and that's court holidays, and weekends do not count towards that time period, whether it's the 48-hour time period or whether it's 14 days. So potentially a person could be held involuntarily on an emergency detention order for quite some time if you have holidays like Thanksgiving in the middle of that.
I mean, it might stretch out to what, 15, 16 days? When you're talking about
It's
holidays
possible.
and weekends.
It's possible. It could be even longer than that. Now, I will say this. I have had conversations with the hospitals, and I believe we're all on the same page with this, that 14 days is too long. It's not necessary.
Really?
It's not necessary to hold somebody for 14 days to determine whether they're going to be able to become stable during that time period and released. I mean, they know usually within a few days whether that's going to be the case. If it's not the case, then they file a petition for involuntary commitment, and we have a hearing where evidence is presented. And then if the determination is made by me by clear and convincing evidence, if I determine there's clear and convincing evidence that the individual is mentally ill and as a result of the mental illness, gravely disabled, or dangerous to self or others, then they can be placed on either a temporary commitment, which is up to 90 days, Or if they've been on a temporary commitment before, they can be placed on a regular commitment, which goes on indefinitely, subject to yearly reviews.
So when they get these involuntary commitments that can last like a long time, how much does insurance coverage come into this? And where are they being held?
Okay, that's a good question, and I need to make sure that this is clear. During the period of commitment, that doesn't mean the individual's hospitalized.
Okay.
Again, even when someone is placed on a commitment, the goal is to get them to a point to where they're stable and they can be released, okay, and return to their home. We don't keep people in the hospitals indefinitely. Now, there does come a point in time in which treatment, if treatment is ineffective, if there's a clear indication because of a pattern of behavior that the patient is not going to comply and is not going to get well on an outpatient basis, that a referral can be made to the Indiana State Hospital. We have several different state hospitals.
I think there's 4. I don't know why.
I think that seems right. I'm trying to think of the names of them. I think it is
Richmond,
Logansport. They changed the name of the Neurodiagnostic Center down in Indianapolis, and then there's one in Evansville. So
And
I think
they're pretty much full, aren't they?
there's a waiting list, and sometimes the waiting list is several months. And you brought up the fact that there's limited capacity. A lot of that capacity is taken up by folks that are there for competency evaluations, because it's been determined that they're incompetent to stand trial.
right?
And I don't know how many beds are devoted to folks in that position, but it's pretty substantial, and that limits the number that we have available.
If you had your wish,
Yes.
what would happen with this? How many more? I did the research on this, and I'm very sorry that I didn't bring it in.
How many more?
How many more beds? I think Indiana needs up to 800 more beds, but
If I had my wish,
yes, if you had your
people would become well through outpatient treatment. That they'd be able to stay in their homes and stay with their loved ones and not have that disruption in their lives, and we could get them to a point easily where they were able to have productive lives.
But how could we innovate that?
Well,
You told me
biggest
once.
factor-
That's why I'm waiting for you.
really, I don't remember what I told you.
You wanted somebody to have a case manager who would
Yes.
go to that home, make sure that it's right for somebody to return to normal, and then have follow-ups to make sure they're taking their meds.
I'm glad that you brought that up.
Okay?
And I think that conversation was probably 2 or 3 years ago that
It
we had
was.
that conversation. And
Yeah, it
think
was at the end of 2023.
And I think it's become much more common. We have a lot of case managers right now. The problem that we're seeing, though, is that it is a job, it is a thankless job. It's one that doesn't pay very well, and there's a certain amount of danger involved in it.
Yes, I'm sure there
And
is.
not just anybody can do it and do it well.
Right.
So I think we have a lot more in terms of outpatient services than we did 4 or 5 years ago.
No kidding. Like, what do those look like? Do you have any? Can you tell us?
It's very similar to what you just stated. A case manager helps these folks get to appointments, to make sure that they're getting their medications, to make sure that they have a place to stay, and that they're progressing. Hopefully, I mean, again, the goal for everybody is that they get to a point to where they can live a productive life. They can have a job. They can have, a spouse. They can have whatever it is that all the rest of us enjoy. So that is the goal. I've seen that occur. There've been some wonderful success stories, and then there are other individuals that just they can't get to that point.
These case managers, are they through the hospital,
They are.
through the insurance providers, as they call them?
They are. That is, case management services are part of outpatient services. Something that I would like to see us do more of, though, is treat the whole person. I don't think we've done a good job of that.
How would we do that? What would that look like, to treat the entire whole person?
Well, there are a lot of issues that overlap all of the big problems that we see in society. I mean, you have criminal behavior, you have homelessness, you have mental illness, and they oftentimes overlap. And I would really like for us to get to a point to where we're able to address all of those issues, and we're able to help the person. I mean, if you have somebody that's in jail constantly for petty crimes, oftentimes they're suffering from a mental illness, and the question then becomes: is it criminal behavior or is it mental illness?
Right.
And I frequently have that question in front of me: is it mental illness or is it criminal behavior? Is it just that they want to do these bad things, or are they just not capable of making those decisions? And that's difficult to determine.
Well, don't most of those people, like let's say they're involved in petty theft. You know, they go into one of the big box stores, they steal something, and then they turn around and sell it. We can probably assume that that's to buy drugs. Self-medication.
Self-medication is huge.
Right.
It is. It is. What absolutely blows my mind, though, is that I see a lot of people who don't want to take the prescribed medications because they're concerned about the side effects. But yet they would go and buy meth from somebody who I don't know what the qualifications are for making meth, but I'm pretty sure that the state of Indiana doesn't certify them. The federal government doesn't certify them in any way. So,
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah. But that's a common problem. And I don't understand it. I've never asked anybody, to explain it to me, but it makes no logical sense that somebody has available to them prescribed medications that can be given to them in a controlled way and can actually help and benefit them, but yet they choose to go and use an illegal drug that actually exacerbates their problems. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have gotten calls about people, and what I'm hearing is that they're hallucinating, they're delusional, they're paranoid, and my next question is, did you give them a drug screen? Like, oh yeah, they tested positive for meth. Well, yeah. So where is the mental illness and where is the drug use? Where do they intersect?
Do you ever wonder if sometimes they should come up with a drug that sort of mimics what meth is like, but would have better side effects so that they could feel that high but actually get better? I mean, this is something that I've thought about a lot, so. Because I know that I know homicide families who have been prescribed very strong drugs to get through that emotional pain and everything else. And they're like, I can't do these drugs. So they turn to weed, which is another thing you must see.
Oh, yeah. Marijuana use is incredibly common. And, without being too controversial here,
go ahead.
I know there are studies now that show that the use of marijuana actually can lead to mental illness, or it can cause it to progress in a way that it would not if it weren't for the marijuana use, especially when you're talking about in young people. Marijuana is not a safe drug. It's not something that anybody should use. It's a bad idea. I don't think that it's been studied objectively well enough, long enough to fully understand what the side effects and the impact of marijuana is. But we're starting to see some studies on that. And I can tell you just from my own experience, it is incredibly common for people that suffer from mental illness to be using marijuana. Now, is marijuana causing the mental illness, or are they using the marijuana to treat their mental illness? I don't know. It's always the chicken egg.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I I don't think that the use of marijuana helps in any way with the treatment of mental.
What about a medical marijuana? Like it's been tested, and because I feel like people are going to use it no matter what. We smelled it in the courtroom yesterday. Literally.
We smell in the hallways of the courthouse on a pretty regular basis.
I mean, yeah, because I guess it's on their clothes. I don't believe that they're smoking it inside the courthouse, but I didn't even smell it. That's what was shocking to me. But other people who are in the criminal justice like, man, this is terrible. So sometimes I say, okay, how can we be practical about weed? But I think it's just like so commonly used that I don't know. If it were regulated and we could make it much less lethal to the body, maybe that would work.
Well, if anything, they're in the states that have legalized it, they're creating greater potency in the gummies and other ways to ingest it other than just smoking.
Yeah.
Which has contributed to the
onset of mental illness.
The onset.
Yeah.
And I think I've also heard studies that, particularly for teenagers, that if they get too addicted to it at that point, it stunts their essentially intellectual, emotional development. I mean, we talk about the brain not being fully developed until age 25 or so.
Particularly boys. Yeah.
And with the lack of impulse control, and they get stuck.
Yeah. So you're seeing right now, Judge, you're seeing a lot of like meth, you're seeing weed.
Still some cocaine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
Yeah. Alcohol is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Huge problem.
And they did try and prohibit that, remember? If you read your history.
No.
Didn't work out so well.
But I think, I know when we used to prosecute the commitment hearings, we had some horrible cases with alcohol of people being found with blood alcohol levels up in the 0.4 or 0.5. I think I even saw a 0.6 once.
I've heard some 0.6s. 0.65 I think is the highest.
Do you want to explain what that means? Like their whole...
Well, like your blood alcohol level for drunk driving is 0.08.
Right.
And when you read about somebody is 2 times the level, at 2.5 or so is very high and very drunk. Mm-hmm. If you're up at the 0.4, 0.5, you're...
I don't know.
It's amazing you're alive.
Yeah.
But the tolerance, I think, has gone where they just go and go and go. And those are truly the cases when you talk about somebody drinking themselves to death. It's not the 2 glasses of wine a night kind of thing. It's chugging a big bottle of vodka.
That's the problem with all of these things. They have their role for the body. They can actually help a little bit, but for some reason Americans have come to depend on such a wide range, and the judge is here is seeing it in his courtroom. Like, what are the families like in your mental health hearings that you hold weekly, by the way?
Mm-hmm. I think that because of how the process works, and I don't say this to be critical of our process, because I think that it's probably about the best that we're going to come up with, but it takes a long time before treatment becomes forced. It either takes a long time or it takes a horrible incident. By the time a parent or spouse or even a friend can get the person they care about into involuntary treatment, they've tried everything and they're exhausted. And I think that most of the time, once they're able to get them into the mental health system and involuntary treatment occurs, they're so exhausted. They throw their hands in there like, thank goodness. Okay, now it's somebody else's problem, or they're going to fix them. And as good as the mental health professionals are in our county, they can't fix people. They can't fix people. They can treat them, They can help them get to a point where they can cope with the mental illness and become productive members of society. But they can't fix them. And mental illness, certain types of mental illness are going to be with people forever, throughout their entire lives. So they have to learn how to live with it. And so then when at the beginning of the process you have exhausted friends, family members, at the end when people come out of treatment, there oftentimes is this idea that, okay, now they're fixed, everything's going to be good, we don't have to worry about it anymore. And that's never the case. That is never the case. In fact, that's the time in which loved ones really need to be there to support their mentally ill friend, family member. That's when they really need that support system. So when I do have people that want to participate in the process, I'm very happy that occurs, and I try to express to them the importance of continuing to be there for their loved one. But
how far is your reach?
Not very far. My reach is not very far. I mean, I can't force people to. I can't force parents and spouses and friends to participate. It's just it's got to be kind of an overreaching obligation, moral obligation, or love, or whatever you want to call it, that motivates the friends, family members to remain involved.
But you sought out this. You mean when you were a practicing lawyer, you were volunteering for Judge David Avery.
That's correct.
Right, and you were like representing some of these families. Is that right or wrong?
Well, I would have been representing the petitioner, which would be the hospital. Mm-hmm. Petitions are almost always filed by someone from the hospital. And the reason for that, there are a couple of reasons for it. The first one is that as a family member or friend of somebody that's mentally ill, you don't want to do that because you're going to get blamed for it later on by that person. So let somebody else do it. Let somebody else take the blame for it. A somewhat faceless hospital is better, in a better position to accept the blame for it. That's one of the big reasons. And the other one is that the statute regarding involuntary commitment requires that a petition be filed, but that there be a statement from a physician attached to it. And
that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
So
because we don't want somebody just to try to get somebody committed that doesn't meet the
nice
criteria.
to your kids.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I could just see a lawsuit if there's no doctor involved.
Yeah.
It does say here in that study I was quoting you that the productivity losses in Indiana due to the mental health problem are $885 million, which is an awful lot. And premature.
I wonder if that is just the individual that has the mental illness, or if that includes all the family members and friends that are spending their time trying to help them.
Oh yeah, I mean
it's probably higher than that number even.
I feel like it probably is too. And it says unemployment is 407 million. So the criminal justice system says 106 million, which I feel like that's low too. Because think about it. If you look at the jail statistics, which I did have in the article I wrote 2.5 years ago, people in jail are like 70% of inmates in jails, according to the National Institutes of Health, have symptoms of mental illness. That's 70%. That's huge. So local jails is where they all wind up. But I think I'm worried that we're running out of time, and I want to get to the mental health summit.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We really have to cap it off with that because that's super important. I don't think enough people know about it, and I believe it's kind of open to the public.
It is. It's absolutely open to the public. In fact, we want anybody that wants to be there to be there. Mm-hmm. We want as many people from the community to be there to have conversations. And to learn about mental illness and to learn about what's being done in our community to address mental illness.
How many speakers do you have? And where do they come from?
Most of the speakers that we have are local mental health professionals, pastors, law enforcement, patients, and family members of patients. But this year, we were able to get a very special keynote speaker. His name is Zach Williams, and he is the son of Robin Williams, the beloved comedian, actor. And so he lives in San Francisco. He's going to come here to Fort Wayne on May the 19th for our mental health summit. And he's going to talk to us about his dad's struggles and what he observed and what he knows about it.
So I think law enforcement's going to be there too, talking about, I mean, when you see the police officers and what they have to go out and deal with, somebody is totally out of their minds, be it on drugs or whether they're paranoid schizophrenic or whatever it is. So I think the law enforcement is there, and just tell us actually too where it's going to be.
It's going to be at the Coliseum.
Okay.
And I think that while Zach Williams is somebody that probably appeals to a lot of folks, my favorite conversation, or the thing that I get the most out of, we did this last year, we're doing it again this year, is we're going to have a panel of youth who are going to talk about their experiences with mental illness. And it is amazing to hear what they have to say, because they're very direct, they're very honest, and I'm amazed always to hear how much they really understand about all of this and their perception of things. It's one of the best conversations that we have during the summit. So we'll have that as well.
How many days does the summit last?
It's 1 day.
Oh, that's it?
1 day, yes. One day.
Probable cause will be there.
Starts at 8, I think registration's at 8 a.m. And the summit will conclude about 4:30. We'll have a light breakfast, we'll serve lunch, and the food's gonna be really good. We always have good food at the Coliseum, so it'll be very good.
Have you had a hand in the menu?
I have. I have had a hand in the menu.
So there's going to be pizza and tacos?
No. It'll be better than that, but the best part will be the desserts. I love desserts, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Great.
Registration for the Mental Health Summit will open possibly tomorrow, but I think at the latest on Monday. And you can register on our website, inmentalhealthsummit.com. That's inmentalhealthsummit.com.
I think we're going to have to do that, and we'll certainly post on the Probable Cause. Let's just get to know him in our last few minutes, because we have not asked him. So you got a lot of stress in your job, right? So what do you do to let off steam? Do you, well, I know.
You know.
I've seen you at the Y.
because you see me at the Y.
Yeah. But do you have your earbuds in? Do you listen to any particular music?
I don't, unless I'm there by myself. Most of the time I'm there with a friend of mine. He and I work out together, and neither one of us listens to anything on our AirPods, because we talk instead. It's also time for the two of us to kind of socialize. Some
bro time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but like you and your family, do you go hiking together? Do you are you cinephiles? Are you? I know you're churchgoers. Yeah. But
we are. We go on walks. We go on bike rides, and when it's nicer outside, of course. We spend time with extended family. We play games together. They really, my boys really like that game, Catan. I think that's what's called, Catan.
Catan.
Catan. It's a game where you try to build communities. It's.
How do you spell it?
Catan.
That sounds really neat.
It's really popular with teenagers these days. But a lot of fun. We play that many times.
You kind of graduated from Monopoly into Catan.
Yeah, Monopoly caused too many arguments. And I think I had an unfair advantage because I played Monopoly for a lot more years than they ever did. So I know how to win at Monopoly.
Monopoly can go round and round. I used to put a timer on there. All right, we're going to play it for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I'm getting signs from Brock that we need, because the judge needs to go somewhere else. He's a very busy man. So I just want to say, does anybody want to wrap it up before I sign off?
I just think this is probably one of the less publicized arenas of mental health that probably, like most things, need more funding. There's always a lot of questions or criticism of the criminal justice system. Why are we putting people in jail for a medical issue? And the answer is generally that we don't have other alternatives.
Right.
A lot of times the mental health issues result in criminal behavior, and we utilize the jail as the only holding facility. And it's sad that way, that we have limited options. I know when we had the Adult Protective Services, we had a lot of people would contact us and say, my 25-year-old son is acting out. We can't control him. And you were at times saying, well, go to the ER, but the options then are, if he's medically eligible, he could be admitted to the hospital. If he's evaluated and he's gravely disabled or a danger to himself or others, he could be admitted under Judge Williams' program. Or if he's committed a crime, you can arrest him and take him to jail. But on these borderline cases that drive families crazy, we really don't have good options beyond those three choices.
I know, and you've seen plenty of it, Mike. I know you have. So.
And you see some of the hardest cases because they've hit bottom, and the people that he's committing on a long-term basis are very, very, very sad stories.
Yeah, they are, definitely. Judge Williams, we've really appreciated the fact that you came over here, and we will do everything in our power to get people to that mental health summit, which will be at the Coliseum on May 19th. You can see this one if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. You can go to www.theprobablecause.com or our Facebook page. We put all of our podcasts there. Can't think of anything else to say, so right now we're going to have to say goodbye. This episode is filmed and edited by Frosty Pictures. The Probable Cause is produced by Maumee Media.
Worried when I crossed the Michigan line, a cop from Steuben County waiting on I-69. A headlamp went out while he pulled me over. Charged me with possession after I rolled down the window.
Now that's skunk.
Indians a trick when it comes to weed. It's like who doesn't smoke or use gummies? Your grandpa, your brother, your rich friend from school? Hell, throw in the whole courthouse and my attorney too. It's time those assholes change these stupid laws. It ain't worth the paper for a probable cause. Sitting on a bar stool in my usual place, this guy next to me said he was looking for some cocaine. Hell, I just sold him an 8-ball with a little piece off for me. But my buyer was a cop? Should've known he was a creep. So I'm a dealer, right? You gotta be kidding. It's a rich man's drug. I just take it because I'm injured. 8 years in Westville with a monkey on my back. There's more drugs in here than you can shake a shank at. One dirty drug test, man, this system's flawed. Undercover screwed me in my probable cause. Street crimes never did me no favors. I'm hooked on Fetty. I'm a junkie, not a felon. Told that son of a bitch on the way to lockup. I can't seem to shake it. I need help, not mocking. What do you want from someone who's been through the system? Drugs all through the house before mom and dad went to prison. Throw me in jail and give me a fine? Someday I'll be dead and away from your kind. Now I'm at the courthouse in front of a judge. Can't say my public defender cares for me much. Crimes are committed on both sides of the law. God help me now with this probable cause. C-shift never gets old. Anything can happen when you're out on patrol. You think I'm just eating donuts, man? Give me a break. Nothing on this job is a piece of cake. Lights and sirens activated. This knucklehead wants to chase. Baby mama at the scene just spit in my face. Wife's worried that someday I won't be pulling up at all. You'll read about my killer in a probable cause. Man. She went through my phone and she seen my text. I told her forget it. It was just my ex. She took a swing and knocked me flat. Man, I went wild and hit her back. Judge slapped me with a no contact order. Now she's got the kids and she's staying with her mother. So she started it all and I have to take the fall. You can read my whole story in the probable when I was young. Caught a case for dealing and did my time. Yeah, I got a record, but I was doing fine. Running my own business on the southeast side. Yeah, I got a gun. I kept it on hand. Told the cop my reason, thought he'd understand. In this neighborhood, you need some protection. Attorney thought I could get just community corrections, but the judge decided to send me to prison. Can't get ahead no matter how hard I try. Read the probable cause, it'll make you
Whispers
cry.
and rumors that don't get reported. Stories I write that are often distorted. Got my notebook and pen, and I'm ready to listen. Tell me the truth, I'll consider your position. I've seen killers with eyes so cold and dead, and others go to prison because of what someone said, rotting away for the rest of their lives, leaving a hole here on the outside. Things are sad here on earth, and it's no wonder why, when you consider the sociopaths who remain in charge. It's me who sees the system for all its flaws, and I usually start with the probable cause. My right hand is reading the probable cause.